All right, guys, welcome to another Porch Talk. Here live from District 16. You'll hear some construction going on, which is always a good thing. Development is not a bad thing. I'm here, and I'm fortunate to be here with Sheriff Barrett. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, nice cool day today.
I know, right?
Relatively.
Good breeze.
It's probably nice for you to be able to sit down because you're always on your feet. You're always working.
Yes.
Yes.
Well,
So let's explain a little bit about just public protection in general. If I live here in Dane County, I mean, there's a difference between rural and urban, but how does it break down? Like, what's your authority? What is the police captain oversee, and how does that all work?
right. So, as the Dane County, our sheriff's office, we have basic constitutional responsibilities. But each city or each municipality kind of has its own law enforcement. So they're the primary, though we can literally go anywhere in the county. As the sheriff, I deputize every single law enforcement officer that comes in so that they can go in all areas of our county here. But I don't have the primary law enforcement responsibilities in cities, in some towns, in some villages. So the city of Sun Prairie, they have their own law enforcement agency, their primary. We can come in to assist if requested. Marshall is another one, Middleton, and whatnot. The Wisconsin state Constitution states that the sheriff's office is responsible for the jails, the courts, waterways, civil process, as well as primary police duties in unincorporated and towns and villages that don't have their own.
Oh, that's cool. We have some of those
Yes,
as well, right?
absolutely. Yes.
Oh,
yes.
that's interesting.
Yes.
Waterways. Talk about that. I've never heard that.
Yeah,
before.
so we are responsible for the 40 plus square miles of waterways here in Dane County, lakes, rivers, streams. That is our responsibility, whether it's rescues, whether it's enforcement, and things like that. So we have a pretty good fleet, Marine and Trail Enforcement, or MATE for short, and they are dedicated deputies that handle the waterways in the summertime and the trails in the wintertime.
That's crazy. You see that mix. Sometimes I see sheriffs on their feet. Sometimes I see deputies. I think we have. Do we have equine or not, or is that just a municipality? To be on a horse, is that just?
Yes, we don't have.
So that's city police.
That's city police. Yes.
That's interesting. How do you work then with the your equal on the city level? Do you guys have daily conversations, weekly meetings, or how does that work?
Yeah, we work with each other, not necessarily on the top levels, but our agencies, we work really well together. And that's what really makes Dane County a great place to live, work, visit, and raise a family. All of our agencies, all of our heads, we work together. We're there to assist. We'll figure out all the paperwork and who's responsible for what later, but we keep people safe first. Matter of fact, I'm just coming from a meeting with Madison Police Chief where we were talking specifically about that. We keep people safe, and then we can figure out all the red tape and everything like that.
Very interesting. You talked about deputies, which are a big part of what you do and a big part of us living in an area. I was fortunate to do that right along with the deputy, and it was she was great. It was really interesting. How does that work? If I'm wanting to get involved in this, how does it break down to a community level? Like like you said, you want to make sure that there's deputies all over the county.
Yes.
How does that work out on a day-to-day, like community policing or community presence of any sort?
Yeah, well, number one, it starts with what our primary responsibilities are, but also it's we have a lot of land to cover, and that's where we're really looking at. Our overall numbers at our sheriff's office haven't changed in close to several decades.
Wow.
As our county continues to grow.
Yeah, right.
Things start to develop, housing neighborhoods, things are starting to grow. So we really have to look at, are we able to provide the best service for a now growing community? So those are things that we have to look at. We have to look at ways also to use technology to help us. And those are some of the requests we have in our budget to help us cover large amounts of space with proper uses, with constitutional uses of technology. But it really all depends on each and every deputy and who we hire to ensure that the community comes first, that they continue to have selfless service and provide the best service to the community and do what's best at all times.
I love that. Carrie Meyer was here. Obviously, your world's intersected with Merchant Medical Services, and she did talk a lot about that. Is just that everybody coming together and working and trying to spread yourself, but not spread yourself too thin.
Yeah.
How do we have staffing shortages all over the country?
Absolutely.
We know that and all different things. You certainly have that at the jail, whatever. But then there's also kids coming out of school that want to be cops, right? Or want to be the sheriff of a county. What is the selling point for you, for anybody that may be watching and says, I really want to be a part of the sheriff's team?
Yes, well, what separates us from any other agency in the county, which they're all great, and it really depends on what that individual person wants with their career. our big selling point is we can do it all. We have so many different things you can do in one career. So you can have multiple careers in one. We have the jails, we have patrol, we have community deputies, we have contract deputies.
Oh, wow.
We have mental health deputies, we have marine and trail enforcement, we have hostage negotiation teams, we have tactical response teams, we have hazard disposal or devices unit, we have the marine and trail enforcement.
Yeah, right.
We have the courts, we have civil process.
That's crazy.
There's so many different things you can do, and with this up and coming generation that never wants to do the same thing,
Right.
it's so important, and that's our selling point now, that you can come in
Oh, I like
and
that.
work the jail for several years. Then you can go to patrol, and then if your family dictates you need to come back, you can do so many different things. And so
That's
what makes
someone
us
that's
great.
ADD. I might consider it. I just have this fear of being out there, though. It's never sat right with me. But that's awesome. How does it work in general? I had the chief, our forensics officer. She was here, and she said, every community is a little different. Does every sheriff model work the way we do in Dane County? I mean, is every sheriff elected in the country? Do you know? Are there some that are appointed, or how does that model?
Yeah, it depends. Some communities in different parts. In Wisconsin, they're all elected. So
Okay,
they're elected
gotcha.
officials. We are part of the executive branch and get our authorities from the Constitution.
Got it.
But there are some places in different parts of the state where it's appointed by the county executive, and others are appointed by commissions and boards. So it varies depending on where you are in the state, but the majority are elected officials.
Well, we're proud that I'm certainly proud that you've chose to make Dane County your place to be sheriff. I don't even know, because you went to UW-Madison, right?
I did. That is correct.
So Madison's a very home-based.
Oh, absolutely. It was the first place where I grew up as a man.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, so I went to school in San Diego. That's where I grew up.
Ah.
I graduated high school and came out here to go to school and play football and learned how to write checks and balance a checkbook and pay an electric bill and how to the bus, all those things that you need to learn to
Right
be
here.
to win it right here. So this is why it's home to me.
Did you know when you were going to college that you were going to be a sheriff? Or?
I had absolutely not.
Seriously?
My father was in law enforcement. He passed away at an early age in front of me and my sister, and we had the big ceremony, the law enforcement ceremony, and it just at that time that was tough for me to kind of deal with. And God had a plan for me, and that plan led me to community service number one, education, and then it just worked its way out. When it's meant to be, it's meant to be.
Yeah, there you go. When it feels that way, I tell you, I've had a lot of directors or heads of departments sitting in that chair, and you're one of the ones I work with a lot because public protection justice. I also love working with you, Sheriff, in full disclosure, because you bring it, you're real. And any communication we've had, sitting down with the trans community, make sure they feel protected. You're like, what do you need? What's going on?
Right.
The work you've done by bringing people that are in recovery into the jail and allowing them their meds, that's something I'm super proud you've done. For you, what may be a very defining, proud moment you faced, or something ahead on the horizon that you're going to be proud of, that you've left a mark on Dane County?
I think being in this position, being the first, really means a lot in regards to showing our community and our future that change can come and change is coming. And I'm a part of that. And every day that these youngsters that are growing up are unmotivated or don't have someone to look up to, and me being in this position, they can look up to me, and I will do the right thing at all times to be that mentor to them, but also that someone that looks like them can be in a position that can have their hair like them. Not every sheriff has hair like me, right?
That's right.
Not every sheriff here wears the earrings, the studded earrings when he's off duty like me, or drives the vehicle or listens to the music. That you can be anything that you want, and that's the biggest thing for me, for not only this generation, but for the next generation.
On that note, that's a great way to end. How do people find out what's happening in the sheriff's office or apply for jobs or whatever? What's the central place you can send?
Yes, you can go to danesheriff.com or go to teamdane.com.
Nice.
And that's where you'll find out everything about our hiring process, and learn all about the different positions. Our starting pay is very competitive. And, if you need to get in contact with me, please do. Barrett at danesheriff.com, and I can help you too.
Yeah, it's great. You're a busy guy, so I really appreciate your time today. I didn't know this was going to be a recruiting call, but it seems like, hey, why not? Hey.
Why not? I enjoy it, all right?
All right. Thanks so much, Sheriff.
Hey, thank you for having me.
You bet.